Hello, I'm Killian, Kill the Frog, and this is a Sit Sketch Sip video about my comic, R.I.P. Frog, which is actually ending on the day this video is going to be uploaded. Sit Sketch Sip, or SSS as I like to call it, is basically where I sit down, sketch something, which will be on the screen in a second, and sip a cup of tea. And we talk about a topic. Let's get into the video. Do you like my mug? I love my mug. I showed it off last video as well. The tea I'm drinking is a holiday blend, herbal blend. I'm actually slowly running out of all the tea that I got from the holidays. I'm like almost out and I need to get more. I need to restock my stash. Next order of business, let's talk about where you can find the comic that we're going to be talking about, R.I.P. Frog. I wanted to make it short and simple, the uploading process, so I just did it on Webtoon only. It is R.I.P. Frog. R.I.P. is capitalized, and then Frog. And it's by Kill the Frog, with a period on the end. Let's talk about what's going on the screen. This is actually me drawing, or I guess for the sake of the title of this video, sketching the last episode of this comic. I know, shocker. So, we'll get into like why I'm ending it, its origins. We'll get into all those stuff later down the line. But let's first talk about why I decided to redraw the first episode for the last episode. Well, one, doesn't that just wrap it all up nicely, coming back to the beginning? And two, I was looking at the old one, and that one has the most likes, obviously, because it's been around longest. It's the first episode, and it sucks. It's horrendous. So, you know, it just, like, the way I drew frogs back then, it just wasn't good. And I'm disappointed in myself. So I wanted to redeem myself. God, I remember being so proud of it too. Yeah. Let's talk about the differences.
For references, this is the original comic. You'll see a side-by-side comparison at the end.
So the path on the first panel is not straight back anymore. The path in the original was like straight back because I didn't know how to do anything else. This path is curved. The frog was gigantic in the first one. It took up like the whole path, and that just didn't cut it with me. So it's teensy tiny, as you can see. It could be even tinier, obviously, because frogs are small. They are tiny, but I wanted to make it seen. Also, I changed the gravestone from being on the side of the road to being in the middle of it for simplicity's sake, you know? And obviously the way I drew frogs has changed. Their eyes in the first one are tiny, and it's terrifying. I drew a perfect circle for its body, and that just didn't look good, and its feet were giant. And it looked like it was levitating almost. Really gross. There's this really gross blue background on the back of the second panel. Yeah, that is just hideous. So, also, each episode of this comic is named after the sound effect that is in the comic, usually, because there's like one sound effect, like blub or crash or boom. So in the original, it is crash, but I believe in this one, it is crack. Not like the drug, like crack. So I also drew trees differently, and it was just like the cloud blob, but then there were suddenly just like little bean, like just little oval shapes that were a darker green that were like supposed to be individual leaves, and that just wasn't, that's disgusting. Also, I put a weird overlay that sort of makes everything look muddled, and overlays are great. They bring the whole thing together, but when it's making everything look foggy, that's when it's not working anymore. You know? Yeah. So, the first one, you know how I said the episodes were actually named after the sound effect that's in the episode? Well, the first episode is actually called Timber, and however, the sound effect is crash, so that's interesting. That's interesting. Also, I had my Etsy in the end card. No, just no. No, I also had 6 comments on that one, which is fantastic. Let's read those comments for the nostalgia. So the first one was by Cinnamon Drizzle, and they say, "Oh my god, guys, I think the frog died. Like, I'm not sure, but I think it died." And I don't know if that was supposed to be like funny, like oh my gosh, I think like sarcastic, or like genuinely I don't know if the frog died. And then Wonderful Toaster said, "Dang," with a straight face. That's very insightful, Wonderful Toaster. You are a wonderful toaster. And then Polaroid_BTS, which was actually my friend who forgot to change their name, says, "This is the best comic I've ever read." And of course it is. It's the best comic. And then there was a typo. It says, subscribing, oh, whoa. Which is great. Or it's oh, like there's an U instead of a W. I don't like this tea. I let it steep too long. So next, let's get on to the topics that I've written down over here. So first we have the origin of the comic. So I actually created R.I.P. Frog in art class, and it was for an assignment. We were supposed to tell a story with only 3 pictures. So I decided to make a 3-panel comic of a frog dying, because who doesn't want to see that? My teacher was actually, I felt bad and didn't submit it, just because my teacher was a really nice dude. He was a total dad who would not like violence, so I did not turn it in because I'm a good kid. And because I wanted to spare him. It totally wasn't because I misread the assignment and had to redo it even after I made this whole comic. But yeah, earlier in this video that you're watching right now, I actually had, you could see the ballpoint pen sketch that I put under this, because as well as putting the original comic in Procreate to use as reference, I also used that as reference. I used it more reference than the finished Timber comic, but you know. So yeah, that's how the first episode came about. It kind of became a joke. They were like, my friends were like, "Oh my gosh, you should post it." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna post it." Friends? Did I say that plural? I only have one friend at the time. And so I posted it, or one friend, who cares? So I posted it, and people actually liked it, and yeah, I remember debating whether to put slice of life as a genre or not, which then I was like, the frog is dying. It's not a slice of life. So I just put it as animals in comedy. Yeah. So let's talk about the statistics. So we have, let's read the description. Just a wholesome, totally family-friendly comic, definitely not about a frog dying. Updates every Wednesday. And I did update it almost every Wednesday, except when I took long hiatuses for no reason, because I just was logged out of Webtoon or something, and it wouldn't let me log back in. That was a problem I had. I went around it, but it wouldn't let me log into Webtoon. Like on the mobile version it would, but on like the computer version, it wouldn't let me, so I couldn't upload anything. And I didn't have any other social media at the time, so, you know, that's great. So I had 382 page views. There are 104 subscribers and an 8.6 rating, and I know the rating does not matter at all. People just rate bomb things. It sucks. But yeah, and there are 34 episodes, 35 including the one that is uploading today, which is the one you're watching being made. Yay! So yeah. Let's talk about the next thing on my list to talk about, the process that I use to make these episodes. So I actually used Procreate on my iPad, and I'm using Procreate in this video, as you can clearly see. I had a preset that had the lines that separate the 3 panels, because it was always 3 panels long. So I had those lines in a preset, and I also had an overlay in the preset that I could just change the gradient map of. I just duplicated it, and then I started, sometimes I started with a sketch, but most of the times I just went right in and drew whatever came to mind. That's where we get a lot of the more simple episodes that don't have backgrounds. I did use sketches for a lot of episodes that had backgrounds. So, yeah. Also, I forgot to mention earlier that the first episode has 37 likes and the latest episode has 5 likes. And a lot of them in between have 9 likes, so, you know. Anyway. Ooh, my tea is cooling down. That is not pleasant. That is not pleasant at all. Anyway. So I would usually not go in with a sketch, which made some of the backgrounds very boring. Sort of regret that, but we'll talk about regrets and what I learned later on. And then I just went in with color, with the selection tool, just kind of selected the area I want colored, and then I would do a clipping mask over that, get on the airbrush tool, just slab on some shading, slab on some highlights. That is what I did here as well, because I'm really lazy. I was a little more careful with the shading in this one that you're watching, but I was less careful in all these other ones, so it just slapped on there. Not good. And then I put an overlay on it and called it a day. I also did the thumbnails, obviously, but I just zoomed in to the episode for that. Let's talk about my favorite episodes now. My favorite episodes were, okay, so I have one called Food, and it's basically, it was an excuse to draw food. So it's longer than most episodes, and it's R.I.P. Frog presents Killian is Hungry, the comic. And so there's like a noodle mummy, a froggy sundae, and then it goes on to say like, oh, there's a roasted frog. So that's the frog dying, because I was like, I was drawing all these food frogs, and I was like, wait, this is R.I.P. Frog, not foodie frog. So I had to draw the dog frogs dying in some way. But I do really love drawing food. I also really enjoyed drawing, there was this one that it's called Floosh. It has, I think, 23 likes on it, and the frog looks terrible, but I remember working very hard on the fire in it, and that was super fun to play around with. I don't like the finished product as much as I do anymore. Maybe I could redraw it sometime. Let me know. No one's gonna let me know. I don't have friends. But yeah. Also, my friend was obsessed with Corpse at the time, the one that read my comic, so I decided to do a choke me like you hate me, like the frog dies because of Corpse's low voice, so that was a fun one as well. It's one of the earlier ones. And there are also 5 fun frog facts. I did a lot of research on frogs for this one, and I just stuck with some of the most simple ones to illustrate, but in the final, but you know, it was really fun to make. I also really enjoyed the frogs episode, which is just a whole collage of the frogs that I created, or that I drew in like different styles. I just drew frogs in different styles and compiled them into a file, an episode. I really did like that one. Because it proved to people that I could actually draw frogs, and it's also one of these styles of frogs is the one that I switched to eventually. So, yeah, that's fun. But I think my favorite one was Happy Halloween. It was the Halloween special, and the frog was in the pumpkin patch and then was voted off as the imposter, and the frog in the pumpkin is actually my profile picture on YouTube. So I think it's just really cute, and it was a more painterly style, so I didn't have to do line art, which was handy dandy. It didn't get as many likes as the other ones. Let's see how many. It got 11 likes, but that's more than my the likes were averaging for the time, you know, because I took all those hiatuses. Again, because I got like logged out of Webtoon and stuff. So, you know, there was also a panic one for Pride Month. But okay, I looked through all of these episodes and I found my absolute favorite one. It is episode number 10. Why am I calling these episodes? They're literally not episodes, they're just comics. So it's comic number 10, 19 likes, June 30th, 2021, and it is Bump, and it's 2 lesbian frogs, and it's their wedding, they have a kid together, and then they die, and it's the best thing I have ever come up with. Happy Valentine's Day, guys. Happy Valentine's Day. And Ghosty Gooster actually said that it was their favorite so far as well, because the frog got a good ending this time. And all along, and then there was a typo also said, and all along he had been a ghost and the other frog had been hallucinating. That's a good plot twist. So, that's that. And then the next thing on our list is why I stopped. So I just stopped because this isn't getting me anywhere. I want to move on to other projects. I want to focus my time on other places. And this was just a hobby to sort of dip my feet into webtoon and webcomic posting, sort of get a feel for what people liked. And they like good endings apparently, because they liked the wedding one. And yeah, sort of get confidence posting places, and that's what I use this for. And now I don't need that anymore, so its use has run dry, and now I can go on to make other stuff like YouTube videos. Served its purpose well. I have enough confidence to post on YouTube now. What I learned. So first, what I learned is that you really shouldn't, you need to work around things, because again, I got logged out of the desktop version of Webtoon, and I couldn't post anything. So now I have to post things from my phone, because that's the only way that it'll let me upload stuff. So, you know. Also, I learned that my mom's computer is really, really slow, because I had to upload a couple episodes from her computer, and it wouldn't even let me put in a proper thumbnail. So, that's terrible. And then I also learned, my drawing skills upgraded. I learned how to draw a couple backgrounds. I learned how to draw frogs. I learned how to kill off frogs. I learned a lot from this comic. I also learned how to reply to comments, and I learned about the Webtoon platform, I suppose. Though Webtoon's not so great. The next question is, what is next? Well, I don't know what's next. I want to write a book, but that takes forever, so I'm just gonna focus on YouTube and writing my book, no promises. I won a screenwriting contest recently, and that was amazing. So now I know I can write scripts. So I might write some short films, some short stories. It'll be great. I'm developing a world called Tenma right now that I'll be posting about on YouTube. So that's what's next. Comic-wise, not much. I have tried to make other comics, but my big ideas don't get me so far. But yeah, that's what's next. And that is R.I.P. Frog. And it's ending. It's over, and I don't have to draw anything anymore. I actually realized when I sat down to film this video for the first time that, oh my gosh, I haven't actually finished this, so this is why you're not getting the end product, because I forgot I hadn't actually finished drawing this end comic, so I finished that up right before sitting down to do this. Which again is why you're not going to see the end of this comic, speed time-lapse thing. I bid you farewell, goodbye, so long. Cue the Sound of Music song. I will see you all next time. Like, subscribe, and go read the comic. Laugh at me. Laugh at my horrible frog drawings. Bye!